You found the coolest place to be, the PlayStation collecting season. Come on, won't you stay with me? Welcome to the show. Gather around the boys and girls, collectors from around the world. Let's show the people what they need to know. Welcome to the show. Gonna talk to guests, only got the best. Gonna put their knowledge to the test. Gonna laugh at me, gonna live the dream. Gonna show you things you've never seen. Gonna sing the song, do the break the song. Gonna run this party all night long. So come on everybody, let me see you dance. Get yourself ready for one more chance. You found the coolest place to be, the PlayStation collecting season. Come on, won't you stay with me? Welcome to the show. Gather around the boys and girls, collectors from around the world. Let's show the people what they need to know. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Yo, yo.
Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the PlayStation Collectors Podcast. My name is Joe Rad. This is Season 4, Episode 4. Joining us this evening, all the way from Australia, we have Mr. Figsy. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, everyone?
And joining us as a special co-host again, as always, Mr. Radical Reggie, the Radical One. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man.
Thanks for coming on. And then this evening, our very special guest. His intro is going to take a minute. We have the king of Nintendo YouTube, the king of PlayStation YouTube, the king of Xbox YouTube, Emulation YouTube, Tiger Handheld YouTube. I don't know. It's just going to go on and on. We have RGT85. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. Thank you for having me on. Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us, man. Going to be a good episode. People have been looking forward to it all week. So it's going to be kind of silly to do so, but you mind introducing yourself to everybody, saying hi, let everybody know who you are?
I'm RGT85. I make subpar videos on YouTube that for some reason people watch.
Yeah.
That's pretty much me, you know, pretty much me in a nutshell.
Oh, don't sell yourself short. So yeah, you do the YouTube channel, which congratulations, by the way. I saw you hit 500,000 subscribers. That's pretty amazing, dude.
Yeah, congrats, man.
It's
Pretty
crazy.
good accomplishment.
It's definitely wild.
That's pretty impressive. I hit 70.
Hey,
Give myself a round of applause. I have the button. That's pretty cool. And then also you have a podcast yourself too, don't you? Do another podcast? You do the Game and Talk podcast, correct?
yeah, we do the Game and Talk podcast once every 2 weeks now, and then we have a show that is on the off weeks, just focused on Nintendo stuff, kind of a subsidiary of the Spawncast stuff. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's going pretty well.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, and then you do the Spawn Wave podcast too, or you just like a guest sometimes, or how often you do that with them? Or
It depends on my mood and what I have going on, really, because it's kind of like John has, Saturday night at 9 p.m. It's like, yeah, nobody's doing anything then. So sometimes I just it's pretty much I am a member of them. It's just if I feel like showing up, I'll probably show up this week because I don't want to hear him bitch about me not being there.
I love it.
fair enough. So yeah, you guys excited for the new Nintendo Switch? When's it gonna come out? What do you think?
I'm hoping sometime. I'm hoping for next year, like late next year, but I'm just hoping it has backwards compatibility. That's what I mainly want for the system. I feel like Nintendo should have at least one backwards compatible period with their platform, pretty much. So I would hate for them to skip with this one, and I think that's the reason they delayed it. So hopefully that's what's happening with it, but who knows?
Yeah. So
I personally think the new Switch won't be out for at least 2 years. Nintendo are going to delay it as long as they can because they're selling as many Switches as they can. They just announced the new, is it the Zelda Switch that's coming out? That's going to sell like 10 million. And they're very close to passing PS2's total at this point, and they're still selling
Really?
many Switches every year as they were. So I don't see them putting out the new console until sales do start to slow down.
I hope you're wrong, Figsy. I want it next year.
Yeah,
It's already the longest delay between new consoles for Nintendo.
Well, the Switch has been out how long? Like 7 years now?
Yeah, it'll be 8 in March. I think it'll come out next year.
Yeah.
I
That's what I'm
think
hoping.
because the thing about it is you could still sell the Switch, because we haven't even gotten to one of those price drop situations. When you look at pretty much every successful Nintendo system, like the DS price drops, the Wii price drops, even variations that were price drops and stuff like that. I mean, obviously not the Wii U because they didn't care, but I think you could launch the Switch 2, cut the Switch 1 price in half, maybe even less. I mean, like, look at how the 3DS and the 2DS kind of ended out. Like, they were doing all these bundles, all these variants, stuff like that. People ate that stuff up.
Yeah, it's almost like the reduced model of the Switch. They just made the Switch Lite and sold that as the cheaper version for people who couldn't afford it. And, they obviously look at the sales. It's absolutely insane on how many sales they've done. I feel like they depleted their stock of Generation 1 Switches and then they introduced the OLED.
Right.
It'd be smart if they did it that way.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think the new system could do to really bring people in? Like, what unique ability is this thing going to have? It's going to be portable.
Well, that's what
again?
I'm scared of. Nintendo likes to get silly with stuff. I'm afraid of what they're going to do. They'll be like, it's VR only, guys. But come on, man. What are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Who knows what they'll do?
I think they'll play it safe because you got to look at who's running the show now. President Furukawa is a much different individual than Iwata was. Iwata was more about taking risks, doing crazy things, whereas Furukawa, his whole tenure thus far has just been very business orientated. Just always business first, and then gimmicks secondary. So I think it'll be a slight twist on the Switch 2, but I think the twists will be in the design of the system. Like, there's been rumors about magnetic Joy-Cons instead of the rail system and things like that. I think that's kind of what you'll see from this system, more so than just going back to the drawing board, because really they can't go back to the drawing board. You're not going to get into a power pissing war with PlayStation. You have to keep that hybrid model because you've already destroyed, you used to have individual divisions. It was a console division and a handheld division. Then you merge those together. So I think it'll be more of the same, just potentially better.
Do you think it'll
elaborating on what you just said? I agree with that point, especially the fact that games these days are coming out on all systems. They're made for Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and then they're making a dumbed down version for the Switch that comes out later. Where, look at Hogwarts, for example. I'm sure Nintendo are like, we want games like that to be coming out day one. So let's make the new console powerful enough to play all these games, but still the portable side of it as well as, what the Switch does. So I feel like you just make the Switch a bit more powerful, right? Because there's not many things wrong with the Switch.
And I mean, technology has moved so much further, because that's essentially what they're using is a decade-old technology in that Switch. Before things like DLSS and upscaling. Some games do implement FSR upscaling and stuff, but that's just native to a game. And plus, you have a maximum output resolution on the handheld. You have a maximum output resolution on docked mode. So, I think it's going to be something that, in terms of raw power, like, no, it won't have all the terabytes and all that sort of stuff like the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series do, but it'll be able to make up for it with that artificial upscaling.
So when it comes to playing it safe, though, do you guys think the new system's going to have backwards compatibility?
I do.
See, the weird thing about that is it would have to, unless they figured out something, it would have to have almost two separate cartridge slots because it's a system on a chip. So, that's going to drive up the cost of things. Could it be digital only purchases are backwards compatible? That just sounds like a nightmare. That's
Oh boy,
not-
would that upset this audience?
Well, I mean, it would
Everybody,
upset,
look at everybody. We all have this giant wall of red. We don't want to hear that shit. I already went
Yeah.
to PSVR 1. I don't want to hear that shit again. When I bought
So-
my PSVR 2, I have a full PSVR set, and then PSVR 2 came out, and they're like, "Yeah, nothing's backwards compatible." I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad I invested in that. Thanks. Great, cool."
yeah, and that sucks.
Did
because I
you
never
guys
had
ever
a
see
digital.
Nintendo going back to using discs again? Because discs are so much cheaper to produce than cartridges.
I don't think so, because I think they're like really obsessed with anti-piracy, and I feel like it's for like discs and stuff like that are easier to burn and systems are easier to mess with. Like the Wii U, it was hacked, I think, a lot easier than the Switch was. Not that the Switch isn't hackable, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. Like a lot of them, you have to solder shit on some of the stuff to hack it. So I don't know. I just feel like they'll do whatever is like better for piracy, because that's their biggest obsession, I think. I'm sure you guys saw this too, but you did see that they announced that little standalone charger for the Joy-Cons finally, like at the end of the Switch's life cycle. Randomly, they're like, "Oh, by the way, is this something you can charge it?" And a lot of people have used spec. So the first one was hacked. So Media Glitch said the Switch was hacked real quick. It was like the very first versions, but then they fixed it, and then the newer versions were harder to hack, as far as I understand it. Like if you have like a version 1 point whatever Switch, they're easier to hack or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I think that does leave credence that I think that they're giving us an option to charge the controllers. And like you said, RGT, like it's very doubtful, like it'll be the same, like, slide in charger type of switch for those controllers. So they're giving you that option. So I think that's a good sign that they're doing that, but it's not a guarantee, but I do think that's a good indication. But like, I don't know, man, like I think it's completely open. I don't even know if it's going to be a handheld. Like what if they'd made it like a really powerful home console and they just make the Switch their 3DS handheld and they just keep doing that? Like, I don't even know, man.
It just seems like a terrible idea.
Oh yeah, but that was, since when is Nintendo like above terrible ideas?
That's true.
It's like
100% true.
You would think it would be logical, but these companies do lots of stuff that I do not understand. Like they like the Super Mario collection when they printed for like 3 weeks and stuff like that. Like I just don't understand why they do something like things like that. I don't get it. So.
And there's still people that defend it. That's the craziest thing. And that's why, because honestly, Nintendo can get away with a lot more shit than a lot of these other companies can, because people are just very attracted to that brand, and people just put up with bullshit. They pay the $60 for the fucking HD version of a Wii game that has no added content, where the Wii version was 50, the 3DS version was 40 and added in new content. But now we're bringing it to the Switch, so you got to charge 60. Same thing with Tropical Freeze. Tropical Freeze on the Wii U was a $50 game. They added in Funky Kong, which was essentially an easy mode, $60. Why did they do it? Because they can get away with it. People still bought the shit in droves. So,
What is that? It's still in shops today, going for $60. Like 8 years later,
discounts. What the fuck is a discount? We don't do that here, pal.
Yeah, not on the physical store, not on online, like not on the online store. Nintendo discount isn't a thing.
Yeah, well, that's one of the biggest reasons I'm terrified of the all digital futures, because how many times have I seen like a physical game that's on sale for $10, $15, and then you go on the online store and it's $60 for the same game. It's like, they were like, "You want Forspoken? $60." I'm like, what the hell? This game's like $1 everywhere. They can't give it away. You're charging $60 online. I'm like,
well, by the way, was that game as bad as everybody was saying it is? Like I saw some
I
bad
didn't play it. I have no idea. It's probably
It's
fine
terrible, and I've heard
mechanically, but
it's
everybody
cringe,
just says
so-
the character was cringe. So that's what I was told.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's one of those things where you just got to play it yourself and make up your own mind.
It's like you just don't want to waste time these days, though, because sometimes like you play a game for an hour like that, and it's like, oh god, I wish I could have did something else.
Well, that's the thing. The point I would make is that it's, for me, like I have so many games that I 100% definitely want to play. That why the hell would I take a chance on a game that like has like a shit?
Right.
That's the way I look at it. If they could be wrong, I do have like a contrarian gene in me. I'm very skeptical. I'm like, and like I definitely have like a hipster gene thing going on where like I'm always like, oh, everybody likes this. Why does everyone like this? Like, you know what I mean? I'm definitely like, I always have that like. So I'm not against that, but again, it's just like you said, Reggie. It's just there's time, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Why would I buy a game that, you know, people are saying shit, even, you know, and it might be good when I could play freaking Elden Ring when everybody's just like, you gotta play this game. So I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna probably play that.
Do you guys feel like? Do you feel like you still like if you play a game, it's not pulling you in right away, and somebody tells you like, "Oh man, you just got to get to a certain part." Then
wait to the 60-hour mark.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore. Like it's like, no, man, it's got to pick me up from the beginning, pull me in. If it doesn't, I got to move on. There's so many games out there. You know, you don't have time to like try to like really get into a game unless it really pulls you in. So
you got me thinking of Final Fantasy 13. Just play halfway through and then it gets good. I tried. No.
Too many games out there.
But yeah, I just I'm very scared of the all digital future, but I don't think it's going to happen for a long time. I think it might be not going to. I don't think it's going to work out, and I think that in general, like you're going to see a lot of like streaming companies start to fail. And I don't know if you guys saw, but like I think Forbes reported that DVD sales and Blu-ray sales and 4Ks are actually on a huge upswing right now, because I feel like there's a lot of people who are like, actually, yeah, streaming services suck. I'm going to go back to buying DVDs and I started doing that too. So like, I don't know. I feel like that people are aware of it, and I don't think it's like we're not going to go quietly into that night. As far as I can tell.
There's so many streaming services. There only need to be maybe like 4 or 5. There's like over like, and there like 20 of them. And then when it comes to like streaming stuff, like we talked about this before, like how they're taking stuff out of movies and series that offends people. So it's like, what the hell, man? Like you know, it's like a small margin of people get offended by something and they totally delete it like that. There's an episode of Sunny in Philadelphia, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They took the episode.
Like 4 episodes. There's like 4.
Is it 4 episodes?
Yeah, there's like. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they're pretty offensive. Dude, that show's insane.
But you know, just people don't want that. They want the original content. They don't want it edited or anything like that. You know, so you know that's why buying Blu-rays and DVDs is the safe bet now. You know.
Yeah, and you don't have to get like. Warning labels to watch stuff. I find that really amusing. They're like, this was made in the olden times in the 90s when people were savages and they just didn't understand how, you know, like I'm like, what is this? Like, I
had a warning on when I watched Aladdin, the original cartoon.
Dude,
I was like, what?
He's a thief. He's a thief. He's a street urchin.
Okay. There are people that are street urchins. Like, you're not depicting him in a negative way. He's just trying to get by. He's trying to survive. Like, shit.
You think they put that on Oliver Twist? No. Hell no. They'd be like, no, he's just a little white thief. He's fine. No problem. So one of the things I do like about your videos, RGT, is that like you do cover like a wide variety of topics. And I do enjoy that, like, you talk about, you know, everyone jokes you're a Nintendo YouTuber or whatever, but, you know, you do talk about what's PlayStation news, Xbox news. You talk about, like, some of the drama and the wokeness going on and stuff like that, which I like, but you're not, like, too heavy-handed with it. And I think you take like, a really reasonable approach to it, which I appreciate, because I just don't think there's a lot of people these days that are reasonable about anything.
No, yeah, 100%. And people, they're very tribalistic, so they have to have a side. You're either a wokey or an anti-wokey, and there's like no middle ground. And it's like, yeah, you have to look at every situation as its own thing, because then you just become hive-minded and you get put into these things, and it's just like, I don't know, it's silly to me. Because eventually something is going to happen. You're going to see something, and you're going to disagree with whatever side you chose, what they say, and you're not gonna be real with yourself. You're just gonna be like, oh well, I have to keep up this facade because this is my online image, and I'm just like, I don't care.
If you're being told what to like and what not to like, that's an issue, you know.
Yeah,
make up your own opinions.
It totally happens, because if you look, it's always, you know, like the usual suspects, especially on things like social media, where a certain group of people will always agree with one crazy statement that one person makes, and then the other group will be all up in arms, and it's just like, people don't really want to have a conversation. They don't want to actually explore the topic. They just want to have their opinion and be in an echo chamber where only their opinion exists, and they only want people that are like-minded. And it's like, that's the most fucking boring 1984 dystopian thing in the world, where everyone is just the same. And you know, it makes no sense to me.
Oh, I completely agree. It's totally creepy. It's like this weird hive mind mentality. And what it is, and this is like, I think a problem, you know, and I'm aware of this myself too, with a lot of people too, is that they let these topics and opinions represent them in their mind as like who they are. That when you attack an idea or something that they have, they take it like as an actual personal attack on who they are. And so for an example, like you like the Knicks quite a bit. Obviously, if I just walked up and like, the Knicks suck, you might be like, the fuck, man? You know what I mean? Just like, what the fuck? You obviously know I like the Knicks. Why are you being like that? You know what I mean? It's not really a personal attack on you, but you're like, it is, because you're like, I like this. And so if you let that go too far, people take everything as like a personal attack. And I never understood that. Like, it's like, this is we're a PlayStation collectors podcast, right? And so we've had a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know if PlayStation's not my. I'm like, I don't care if PlayStation's your favorite thing in the world and you love it or what. It doesn't matter. I don't even care if you don't like it. It doesn't matter. It's not like just because I prefer collecting that over fucking Xbox doesn't mean like I am upset if someone doesn't like PlayStation or something. Like, who gives a rat's ass, dude? Like, I don't care. As long as if you're a nerd and you want to talk about video games, we're cool. Like, it doesn't really matter. If you want to talk about, if you're really into Atari, I'm happy to talk about Atari for hours. It doesn't, I don't know. It's just like people, like I said, they let stuff like become who they are, so that when anyone criticizes it, they like take it personally. And that's like a huge problem, I think, that most people have.
I mean, that's
going off what you just said, Joe. We've had the complete opposite. I've had people message me and go, hey, that episode wasn't really much about PlayStation. What are you guys doing talking about Nintendo? And it's like, it's our show. We'll talk about what we want. If we've got someone who loves Nintendo on, we'll talk about Nintendo or PC gaming or movies. We had a movie episode last week. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's just, and it's social media, because now everyone has an opinion and their opinion can be heard, which can be a good thing. But you know, it's like their opinion is factual, and they'll give you some terminology that's whatever the new terminology is for whatever situation it is. And it's like, bro, y'all are fucking weirdos, man. Like, y'all are just weird. Like, I wonder like how these people, I honestly wonder how a lot of these people were raised, because I feel like the loudest people were probably the most sheltered people, and they're taking things from their childhood that maybe they're upset about. Like maybe they didn't grow up in a very like diverse area, and it was just all white kids. So now it's like, I need to make up for that. I need to champion for these people. And it's like, you should probably just shut the fuck up and let the people who are having issues talk, and then listen to what they have to say instead of interjecting yourself to make it all about me. It's like, I do not understand. I mean, maybe it's because I moved around like so much as a kid. Like, literally, I was only out of school for like max a year or two, and then it was to the next town because my dad got another job. So I was in tons of weird situations and weird schools where I was like one of the few white kids and stuff like that. But I love that kind of stuff, because I mean, part of me was kind of upset because you would build friendships with people or something like that. But I think it made for a more interesting sort of view. I love that Switch 3 talk channel. That's
really funny. I just saw that. 2035. Let's talk about it. With Switch 3 Pro, let's go.
Like, I just feel like people lived like very boring lives and just nothing ever happened. So like, this is their chance to like change the world. And it's like, okay.
Well, that's a very interesting attitude in general. I guess maybe I'm just not a good person, but like, I've never wanted to change the fucking world.
Oh no.
All. I've never felt like the world, it needs me. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need me. I want to just make people laugh, and I want to have a good time until I rot in the ground. That's all I want to do, guys. I don't understand like this, this weird, like, sense of responsibility that you need to like save the world. And no, like to me, like I don't know, I've lived life long enough to know that people who like don't help themselves, they never will. Like you could help them forever and they're never gonna help themselves, and they're never gonna, like you could try to teach them how to fish forever and they're not going to. So you could just either help them forever or like I don't know, but it's just
well, it's almost like a drug addict. Like people think, oh, you could save this person, you can save this person, unless that drug addict, and as someone who has been friends with a lot of drug addicts, who have lost a lot of friends who are drug addicts, unless that person has something inside of them, it doesn't even have to be their whole personality, but if there has to be a little something inside of them that they want to change, and if they have that, then yes, you could go balls to the walls to try to save that person. But if that person doesn't have that inside of them,
exactly,
I mean, there's really nothing you can do. And it's just like my philosophy is, do you have to wake up and go to work tomorrow? Okay, then life goes on. Like, it doesn't matter what's happening. If your ass still has to wake up, go to work, pay your bills, life goes on. It's going to be shitty sometimes. It'll be good sometimes. That's the beauty of life.
So
you're spot on there. It goes in every aspect of life in terms of changing, whether it's a drug addict, someone who's gambling, or even just someone who, eats unhealthy, or,
maybe somebody has like some sort of video game buying problem.
Anything. If they don't want to change, they won't change. And, you shouldn't want to make someone change unless they, usually the other person will reach out for help if they want to change. You can find when people are genuine. What were you going to say, Reggie?
No, nothing. Go ahead. I was just looking at something here.
So the way I look at it, this is an interesting. I don't know. Maybe it's relatable. I have trouble with cigarettes. I smoked for years, and like I quit. You know what I mean? But like the only way that like psychologically I can do that is that if I hang out with my friends who do smoke, I will have one or two, and just be okay with that. And like it's not perfect. And I know it's not perfect, but it works for me, and it's as good as I can do. That's as good as I can do. I don't smoke, 13 days in a row. But if I hang out with my buddy who chain smokes, I'm like, give me one, because I'm not going to sit here and fucking suffer. Like, I just can't.
I smoked cigarettes for 22 years, and then I decided this girl that I was seeing, she didn't like it when I'd smoke around her. She was like, well, just get a vape. And I was like, and I had bought a new car. And I was like, yeah, I guess I could vape in the car. So then I would primarily vape, and I would still smoke cigarettes kind of here and there. And then I ended up in the hospital, and that was a whole fucking shit show. And I had actually quit smoking cigarettes like a week before all that shit happened. So I was like, fine, I need to get back on the cigarettes. But
that's clearly the problem.
Right. But like, I haven't had a cigarette since then. I do vape sometimes more often than not, but like all of my stuff looks good. All of my doctors say everything is good. And really, to be honest with you, like, I know that vaping is supposed to like this horrible, terrible thing. Every doctor that I've told I vape to, they dismiss it. It's very dismissive. Even when I was in the ER, they wheeled me up to a new room, and my vape fell out of my pocket, and I kind of looked at it, and the nurse was in the room with me, and she was like, I'm just going to pretend I didn't see that. And I was like, thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow.
I feel like when they publicize like the dangers behind vaping, it's not so much people that have been smoking for years getting on vapes. It's kids that are growing up thinking these look cool, let's get into vapes and things like that. So it makes sense that they're portraying them as, the dangers of vaping and everything like that.
I just went to my cardiologist today. He's like, hey, your heart looks great. I was like, thank you.
Nice. Awesome. Well, a lot of people don't understand when smokers, I'm not a smoker, but I've understood, my dad's a smoker, and I've understood how hard it is to give up. And what a lot of people don't understand is it's not just giving up. It's smokers, like smoking is part of your life. So a lot of smokers will have friends that smoke, and part of hanging out with the friends is they all smoke. So if you're giving up, do you then not go and hang out with your friends? Because if you're hanging out with them all, they're all smoking as well. You're smelling it. You got to anti-socialize yourself. So it's a lot harder than what people just say, oh, just give up,
Yeah. I first started smoking cigarettes because I owed my parents a lot of money in high school, and I got a job at Sonic Drive-In. And like I noticed like all these people kept getting breaks, and I was like, what the fuck? Like I was working with 2 friends there. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And they're like, oh, they're getting smoke breaks. I was like, are you serious? And they were like, yeah. I was like, well, I smoke now. And they were like, no, you don't. And the next day I came to work with a pack of cigarettes. I was like, yes, the fuck I do. And that's exactly why I started smoking.
That's funny. That used to be like such a common like work breaks where I worked were all known as smoke breaks.
Yeah.
I'm going on smoko. That's just the thing.
Going to smoke. Be back in a minute.
No,
So-
honestly, for me, it was like I was one of those edgelords. Like when I was in the 7th grade, I was like smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee, and I was like, I'm mature. I'm like, I'm so mature for my age, dude.
I lived in the South, so like cigarettes were all over. I remember going into going over to my buddy's house who lived in the apartment complex that we lived in, and he just opened up this closet door, and it was just cartons of Winston cigarettes, and I was like, hell yeah, let's go.
Nice. Dude, we used to have I'm so old. They used to have cigarette machines. If you guys believe that or not.
I remember
they
those.
used to have cigarette vending machines, and there was
I remember.
we used to walk to the mall, and there was this restaurant like right in the entrance of the mall. And what we would do is we would go in, and someone would distract them. And then my brother or my friends would run in and we'd buy butts out of the machine. And then they'd be like, hey. And we'd be like, run out of there. We're like, screw you guys. We used to do it all the time. We used to do that. It's so much fun.
It's hilarious.
Dude, I was not behaved. I'm just so glad that I grew up before your parents could track where you were.
Oh
my
god
goodness.
damn.
I can't even imagine growing up nowadays. Like I'd be dead. There's no way.
No social media, very limited cell phones. It was the best.
Pagers, man. I remember paging
Yeah.
people. Call me back. 69, 69, 911, 420. Call me back. Just all that stuff, dude.
Like, I'd be in so much motherfucking trouble with that shit.
Mhm.
No, it would.
I was never where I said I
Crazy
was.
today though, like it's almost a form of like invasion of consent of these kids that these parents can see everything that they're doing. I've seen one where the parents like, I don't feel it's right to, track my kids. So we made it so the kids can also track me. So it's like instead of a tracking, it's like a just knowing where everyone is at all times. And, the kids know where mom and dad is. And
That
vice
takes away the
versa.
fun. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to stay at this friend's house, and then you're fucking drunk and pilled up in the middle of a field at 3 a.m, losing your fucking mind, talking to a cow. Like, I've been there. Like, those are some of the most memorable nights of my life, the parts that I can remember at least.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
glad
the problem I have.
Camera
I don't
phones
remember
weren't
a lot
around
of
back then.
Yeah, nothing, bro. Like, fuck, we would have been in so much shit if they were.
No evidence.
None.
No, I'm very grateful for the time that I got to grow up in for that. And then also, like I talk about this a lot on the show, is like, as far as video games go, I'm so blessed because I got to experience like all the consoles as they came out, and I got to enjoy every single one, and every single one was exciting. And it's funny because like I do talk, like we were on a show the other night, we were talking to some guys who are a little bit younger, and they were like, the NES I just don't like it. It's just no good. I'm like, bro, you just weren't there, man. Like you don't understand how good it was. It's so good.
Well,
you just
and
don't get it. It was so good.
And that's a thing that I see brought up a lot where, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, 2023, that was like the best year in gaming. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong? Open up an EGM from like 1995. Look at the bangers that they were reviewing every month. Look at how many consoles there were, where console exclusives meant console exclusives. So the only way to sell your said console was with these console exclusives. You had a period of time where you had Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, 32X, Saturn, PlayStation, 3DO, Jaguar. These are all going alongside of each other. Not even talking about handhelds with Game Boys and Game Gears and shit like that. Like, it was crazy. Best year of gaming. It's like, bro, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You weren't there, dude. You were not there. If you were there, you understand.
And honestly, like I don't see how people can argue. I'm like, yeah, like all the franchises you play today started then. Like that's when Need for Speed 1 came out, Metal Gear 1 came out, Call of Duty came out. Like all these games that's where all this stuff started. Well, Call of Duty.
The idea behind Grand Theft Auto built around from these games in the 80s. Like all the games you play today were from these games. They wouldn't exist if they weren't around.
Yeah, I just don't see a lot of new franchises that are going to go the distance the same way. I mean, maybe, but I don't know.
I don't know, because everything seems to be relying on remakes, remasters, and nostalgia. Look at this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are the big games this year that we've gotten?
Last of Us remake.
Rebirth, which is a retelling of
We-
Final Fantasy VII. Like,
In March, we got some banger RPGs. We got Rebirth, Persona, and Grand Blue or whatever. But those are
Right.
those really that crazy? And then that's kind of it. Then we got the Elden Ring DLC, but that's just DLC.
I mean, the Final Fantasy Rebirth was on point. I mean, I love Final Fantasy VII, so I was looking forward to that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like a 4-year delay before with the last one that came out, kind of threw some people off. So the sales were kind of like iffy on it. And then it's only exclusive to the PS5, so I think that hurt the sales for it too. You can't really. It's hard for like third-party companies to do exclusives these days because there's just so many ways to play games. Like an exclusive on the PS5. Like, are a lot of people going to play like buy Final Fantasy VII just like get a PS5 to play Final Fantasy VII? So because I remember when Square was like arguing about like it's like they lost a lot of money on the game or whatever like that, but you just can't really do exclusives like that anymore. They got to spread it out. So that game should have came out on the Xbox Series X, maybe even a down-ported Switch port. No, I'm just kidding. But
No, that wouldn't happen.
yeah, I know, right? Like
120 gigs that game, like the install. It's fucking insane, bro.
Yeah, man. It's just like, dude, like exclusives. I don't know, man. I mean, a lot of them are AAA, man. But if they don't make that money, I mean, even if they don't make that, like, even if they don't break even or whatever like that, I mean, that company is done usually. So it just doesn't. I don't know, man. I guess the safer bet for some companies too, like, is to do remasters or whatever like that.
Speaking of remasters, I did want to point this out real quick. Did you guys see this?
yeah,
Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver remastered.
I did. See
Yeah.
Intriguing. I love these games, but again, can we just get another one, or does it have to be?
You have to do the old
Does it
stuff.
have
You might
They
be
have,
one.
they have to do the old one to make sure people have interest with the new one. Companies will not take that risk anymore.
Yeah, that's what they do these days. Like, can we make a new one? Well, let's re-release the old one, see if they make money, and then we'll
Well, it's
consider
'cause
making a new one.
Budgets are stupid high. And really ever since the PS3, Xbox 360 generation is kind of the down slope of amounts of releases and companies willing to take risks, because everything used to be so much cheaper to make games. It used to be you sold 100,000 copies of a game, great, green light the fucking sequel.
No.
Now it's like you only sold 10 million. Oh, we're gonna have to put this on.
Well, it's like the budget
pretty
was
scary.
20 million, so you failed what the budget expectations were, so we've got to cancel it.
Yeah,
Which is
these
crazy.
games are so expensive to make these days, man. Like they don't make enough money. It's over for them, man. That's sad to hear. Back in the day, the game didn't sell well. They could still probably like round up and make us, do something to make a sequel or whatever like that. But nowadays, it's unheard of. Like, no way, it's over. So companies are
I want to
closing
talk
down.
about
and all
something
that
you just
stuff.
talked about, Reggie, with exclusives. I've just looked up PS5 sales, and the PS5 sold 60 million consoles.
Yeah,
They're like,
that's the
they
thing.
really should be pumping out exclusives if there's 60
Wow, I
million
didn't even know they sold that many.
I don't know what people are playing on that.
Yeah,
Because if you look at game sales,
Fortnite.
I mean, really though, if you look at game sales, what games are people buying on the PlayStation 5? Like outside of, obviously stuff like Spider-Man is going to be big, God of War, but like outside of those, I don't know what people are buying.
Number one selling game
PS5s.
is Grand Theft Auto 5. Still,
I mean,
Yeah, probably.
honestly,
Crazy.
were you guys excited for the new generations systems when they came out, when they announced the PS5 and Xbox Series X? Like, I wasn't excited about them because there was just nothing really coming out on them.
I was because of Demon Souls, and I was screaming for a Demon Souls remake for 5 years prior to that being announced. But apart from that, I wasn't. And there hasn't been. I know there's a lot of exclusive PS5 games out there that are indie and stuff, but if you talk about first party titles, AAA titles like we got on the PS4, like we got on the PS3 or the Xbox One, or even going back to the PS2. You can't name 30 or 40 of them. You can only name
Right.
15 or 20.
I feel like the last
However,
system that really had
one
like
did just come out, and it's probably the biggest game of the year, and it's a sport game. And a few guys in chat have been talking about it, and it's College Football 25.
Yeah, that game's been
they haven't
doing
made an NCAA game since 2014. This game, I'm not an NFL person at all. I cannot wait to pick this up. It looks so good. I've been
Really?
watching people.
Everybody's
stream it.
saying it's amazing that has played it.
Yeah. People are absolutely raving about it. People have been screaming for this game for 12 years, and it's finally come out. It's exclusive. People are actually going and upgrading systems just to play this game. So
wow,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been selling really well too. It's because there hasn't been, like you said, there hasn't been a college football game, and I think the most important thing is it actually feels different than Madden. It's actually it's not just a college football reskin on a Madden game. There's actual new things that have been implemented into the game, to where I've seen some sports channels saying like, this is like Madden 28 or Madden 30. Like it's so much more advanced than the Madden we have now. And how are they going to be able to catch up to it? Because obviously you have to do things differently when you're talking about college football versus the NFL. So
I'm just surprised that an EA game is getting so much love. I feel like Ubisoft has taken over the throne of most hated companies. People are leaving EA alone a little bit, kind of.
Well, they're doing what customers want. They've been screaming for this for years, and they've finally done it. I've seen clips on social media, not of gameplay of the game, but of gameplay of like there's a social side of the game, and the players talk to girls and have relationships, and the girls can block the players if you say silly things. And like these clips have been going viral because they're funny. And like this is what game we're talking about,
I do want to ask though, how do you guys feel about Arcade 1-Up, man? Do you feel like they're dying?
Oh yeah, 100%. Did you see that new Did you see that new abomination that leaked and then it ended up showing up in the stores? Okay, here's the combination: golden tea. So we got a little spinner ball,
trackball, yeah,
with old Midway games, and half of the marquee is golden tea, and half of the marquee is a Midway logo, and there's like old Midway games on it. What the fuck do these two things have to do with each other besides that you have licenses for these, so you're trying to shit out another product before your license expires so you can make some money? That's there's no passion anymore there.
It's kind of funny, man, because I kind of just got into them a little bit late last year. I bought a lot of their stuff on like discount, like they were selling like countercades at Target for $100. So I got a couple of those. And I was like, oh man, I can't wait for the next thing to come out. Then there was nothing. And then like I hear all this news about them dying, like wow, it's like
I think they lost like track of what they should have been. Like they should have always been like $200 to $500 tops for these units,
right?
And that should be it. And then like they just got way too fancy and they started charging too much. And I don't know, it was just crazy. And I also feel like they almost like shot their load a little bit. Like they released like too many good ones like too quickly.
Right.
And like they're like, well, now what do we do? You know what I mean?
They had a big change in management too. Like the new guy that runs it, or who's kind of the figurehead of it, is a different, because essentially there was a guy named John D who worked there, and he was the one that was actively trying to get licenses and stuff. He ended up leaving, or was forced out, depending on who you ask. And this new guy is just a total fucking. Just you could tell like he doesn't know it's actually very funny. If you look at their Instagram, they just put up a new reel today where that guy, his name is Cyrus, is playing the Yoga Flame edition, I believe it was, Street Fighter 2 cabinet. All right. He's clearly, because anyone with a brain can look at it and see which player he is due to the score, and the other one saying press start to play or whatever. He's clearly Ryu. The video ends with Guile beating Ryu, and he like, you could tell by like his hand motions he's trying to play it off like he was Guile or something. It's like, no, what the
he lost.
I called it out. I was
I'm looking
so
at it right
annoyed
now.
with it. Well, what's the end? It's clear as fucking day who he is, and he's not Guile.
Wow.
Yeah, the weirdest stuff like that
Right,
annoys me
okay.
on people's posts. Like I saw like somebody made a post recently and it was like just like your average Twitter post. It was like it was an Xbox and a PlayStation 2 and it had two TVs. And it was like, which one do you choose? And like the PlayStation 2, for some reason, it didn't have like a real boot up screen. Like it was like a photoshopped screen and it wasn't the actual boot up screen. And I just couldn't like not like let it go. Like I had to comment. I was just like, yeah, that's a fake PS2 screen. So obviously I'm going to choose the Xbox. What the hell's wrong with that, dude? And all of a sudden all these people are like, yeah, that is fake. What the hell? I'm like, why is it fake? Like you couldn't get a real PS2. Like what's going on? Why is it fake? It just annoyed me so much. Like, I don't know. So stupid.
So how much time do you guys think they have left then when it comes to like them being
A year
irrelevant?
or two.
Yeah, a year
Well,
or
the
two?
thing is that they're still making money, and like that's kind of a problem. In my mind, it's dead to me because I don't see them reaching out to get major licenses anymore. I honestly see them just sitting on the licenses they have, re-releasing these at Costco or Walmart or so, and that's a huge problem because from what I've been told, like those companies, like your Costco's and your Walmart and stuff, they actually dictate what games end up getting made. And if you present them with a cabinet and you're like, okay, well, this is going to be, let's just say Daytona USA. If Walmart is like, we don't think that'll sell, we want another Pac-Man, they won't try to convince they'll just Pac-Man right away, and then they'll make another reskin Pac-Man. Like there's no one with nuts there to be like, or to present a business plan and be like, okay, we understand that you want Pac-Man, but let me show you why this would be a big deal. Let me, it's just very yes man stuff nowadays there. So I think they're just going to sit on those licenses, milk those licenses with different revisions and stuff like that until it gets to a point where they've sort of, oversaturated the market to the point of where like the people walking into a Costco or a Walmart, they're not interested in anymore. And then they'll probably have to pivot to something else or just fade into obscurity. But as far as actually releasing shit that people want, that early people who got into it were excited for, I think those days are long gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think the hype's died down. There's some serious collectors out there that'll keep buying them, but I just don't think it. It's different when it was $200 to $300 and you'd walk, like you said, you were in a Costco and you'd see one and it may be a game that you were nostalgic for and that'd be fun. And you're like, that's not too big of a hit. That'd be fun for the family. You could pick one up. It's a big difference now when they're looking at $700, $800. I'm just like, that's not an impulse buy in any way, shape or form. And I know maybe $200 to $300 isn't, but $200 to $300 is an impulse buy in my world.
Right.
Like,
Well,
Yeah,
and
to the average
I'll spend that on
person,
something stupid every week. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? But $800, $900 something now, I'm like, I got to think about that.
Well, the thing is, and the quality got worse too. I would say the peak of quality was the original Ninja Turtles cabinet and the original NBA Jam cabinet. I remember paying $400 for both of those. However, they were an upgrade over the $300 ones. It had better bassier speakers, it had a better screen, and it had online play. And NBA Jam, I'm not sure if Turtles has a light up marquee, but I know NBA Jam does. So I was like, okay, this is fucking great. Then they released a bunch of stuff that I wasn't like super interested in. And then when it came to X-Men and Simpsons, I was like, fuck, I gotta buy these. I love these games. I paid $700 for both of those. And the quality was abysmal. The audio was horrible on it. The controller layout for the Simpsons, you can't play as Homer at all. And you had to download Simpsons Bowling to put it on the cabinet. It didn't ship with it on the cabinet. It's like, what are we doing? How did we get worse? And somebody told me that is very into the arcade 1-up scene that like it was a speaker issue and like it was a wiring thing and they just never fixed it. So like you have literally two cabinets that were like what they should be doing with NBA Jam and Turtles in Time as far as price point and quality. Like they figured it out there, and then they were just like, fuck it, we're just gonna charge people more for shittier quality, and we'll make like the fucking XL cabs, and we'll get more money out of them, and then the pro cabs. It's like, get out of here, dude.
Man,
And because that was so successful, people bought them in the second place.
I mean, they were definitely banking on people's nostalgia for those machines. With the size, the 3/4 the size of the arcade, I felt like they were more aimed at kids or whatever like that. I feel like if they did the XLs first, it would have been a lot better. I think that's the XL arcade system. I think that's what they're called, the full size arcade ones.
Yeah.
I think if they did those in the beginning, it would have been a lot better. But
Well, it's the XL is essentially, it doesn't have the riser. Like the riser's like built in.
it's a built-in, yeah.
Yeah.
So because I always felt like the other arcade, if you don't get a riser, you have to get a riser with them, or you're going to be playing
so
like
small.
at an awkward angle. It's so weird.
Bro, I got my chair. I got my folding chair. I just pull it right up there. And I'm like, all right, let's go. I got ones that came with risers, like the Simpsons. And that was another thing. They started bundling in a bunch of bullshit. Like, I don't think you can see it. Did I move that?
Okay, so
Oh,
the Simpsons came with more than one game then? It was not just the Simpsons on there?
It was Simpsons and Simpsons Bowling, and it had a trackball on there.
Wow.
But you had to download Simpsons Bowling. So if you don't have access to the internet, you're just fucked. And it came with like a metal tin sign, a stool, a riser, and all this shit. And I'm like, I don't want this stuff. This is you want to release this at $700? Cool. Give me an a la carte version with none of that extra bullshit for $400 or $300, and I would have been a lot happier. I haven't bought one since the Simpsons cabinet.
Dude. Or they could have put more 4-player beat 'em ups on there, right? Like something like Vendetta, Bucky O'Hare. I mean, I think that would have really helped out a lot. But one game in a bowling game, like it just
so that's where it falls apart for me, because it's like, I don't know, like, dude, RGT, you could buy a freaking 12 terabyte hard drive now with 50, 60,000 games on it and just hook it up to a fucking MAME or something, and you're good.
This thing is crazy. You don't even.
Dude, that thing is crazy. As the first one of those you showed, I was like, damn, I think I might get one. That's pretty.
This thing is, dude. I was playing. What was I playing? I was playing The Matrix, Path of Neo, like all upscaled and shit. Last night, I forced widescreen, and I was like, "This is fucking great. That's awesome."
Well, that's one of the topics that I wanted to talk about too. Is like one of the reasons, like I said, I think your channel does well and you're successful is you talk about everything and you adapt to the times and you realize that like emulation is like the future, and it just is. Like people, like I love physical collecting, and I always prefer to collect physical games. I always will, but like emulation is amazing, and I've been. It's changed my world, like trying to playing PS1 games and PS2 games, all upscaled, 1080p, freaking 60 frames per second. Like, oh my god, dude, it's so
like
amazing.
You're playing something new.
Yeah, it really is.
I was playing Hunting Ground, and I was like, dude, like my buddy Cag, he had it on this Steam Deck that he got, and I was playing it. I was like, wow, dude, like it was like pushing like I don't know 720 or 1080p or something like that, but it felt like I was like a brand new experience in a way. Like it was so amazing.
They even have like HD texture packs that you use in conjunctions with an upscale that just it'll change the look of the game. There's stuff, PS1 is big too. Like people are modding and adding in like cars and stuff into Gran Turismo 2, like new events and stuff. Like it's just so crazy. And like, you can't play that on your original hardware. Now there are some things N64 wrestling games. It's kind of funny because it's kind of done the reverse. Whereas all the No Mercy hacks, the hacks on that sort of stuff, you had to play it on a PC. You had to use Project 64 in order to load the high resolution textures. Well, now there's a new program out there that somebody came up with that allows you to change the source code of the game, swap out things, and it still plays on original hardware. So that's kind of the new wave of mod projects for it. Like, and they're just coming out with like project after project after project. And there's highly compressed MP3 entrance songs and stuff like that. Like it's fucking nuts. And I'm just like, wow, this is so cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons I think that the gaming industry is fucking doomed, because like it's so you could go out and spend $200 to $300 and have 12,000 games And you know, if you're someone who's not against playing older style games, likes old arcade games, likes this old stuff, I mean, you could spend the next lifetime, spend $200 and you'll be good. And these guys want you to buy a brand new game for $100 every month or two, and it's just like I understand for people who want just the latest greatest shit all the time, but if you're someone like me who just like I have fun playing Atari. I have fun playing Game Boy. Like I don't. It does not need to be HDR graphics. Like I don't need these giant AAA titles to have a good time at all. Like to me, I actually dislike them because I'm like literally I put the disc in and it's like 200 gigs are installed. I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, what the freaking hell? It's gonna take 4 fucking days to me to play before I even play this game.
You know what the new one is on the PS5? It's your controller needs to update.
Oh my God. I always
weird.
skip it. I hate it.
Like, how many times the controller need to fucking update?
Yeah, that is bizarre, dude. It's like everything updates, like the VR controllers, all that stuff, like every time. And I'm, if you own like fucking 12 controllers, like I have a bunch of controllers. That's irritating. You're like, oh God, this for all of these? Jeez.
I'm still with the 2 controller rotation. Like one's always on charge. When this one's dead, it switches over, and that's the constant system.
So what I was going to say, talking about emulation in particular, like I used to work at Radio Shack back in the day, and I remember, selling a 64 freaking megabyte flash drive for like $150. Things were insanely expensive, and like as time goes on, it just gets cheaper and cheaper, and the memory gets better and better, and it's easier and easier to emulate. And like soon enough, we're gonna have 10 terabyte micro, flash, SD cards that you can put stuff on, and you'll be able to buy a mini PC for $200 that plays PS4 Switch games. I'm serious. Like in 5 years or so, the technology is going to be so cheap and so powerful that, for a very small investment, it's going to be incredibly easy to emulate like everything in this room. And like for me, like I like collecting the modern stuff because it's a bitch to emulate it, and it's like takes up too much space and it's a pain in the ass. But like I got one of these little things, and like, dude, like I don't collect cartridge stuff like pretty much anywhere at all.
Is that
because it's just
the Amberneck Arc?
Yeah, it's the Arc. Yeah, it's the Arc D, dude. I fucking love this thing, dude.
Yeah, it's so stupid that it doesn't come with a ton of Saturn shit, though. You got to add this. I was like, I don't want to get this. Why? This is clearly for Saturn, and Saturn aren't great on it.
It does.
Is that on Amazon?
I think it might be. Yeah, that one should be. It's pretty old.
I've been using this. This is the new Amberneck RG40XXH. I like it a lot, but I can't get Saturn to work on it. I don't know why. I've tried CHD files. I've tried BinQ files. There's a Saturn emulator on here. It just won't do anything, and it's not Android based. It's RetroArch based. And I'm not very good with RetroArch. I'm much better with Android or Windows based stuff. So it kind of holds it back a little bit. But I do like this. Like it's a 4-inch screen, which actually makes quite a big difference. And it's small and it's light, and I like the color.
Yeah, I love these things. So I have a Steam Deck, which is obviously like a powerhouse, but the thing's a tank.
Yes.
If you're actually using it as a handheld, like I have to put it on a freaking pillow to play it, because if you hold it for like an hour, your arms literally hurt because it's so heavy. Oh, yeah. So like, I if I'm playing retro, at PS1, Saturn, stuff like that, these little Ambernecks are the way to go. They're small, they're lightweight, battery works great, plays well.
Yeah, I got the new ROG Ally X that I have a video coming out this weekend for.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
It's still sitting in a box, so that's tomorrow's project is to check that out. But I'm just gonna plug in the 12 terabyte hard drive, and we're just gonna look at emulation on it. I want to see what I could do with PS3 and Xbox 360 emulation on it.
It's killer. So there's another thing that this is just speculation about the future, is that like right now it's relatively easy to get ROMs and stuff like that, but like I do feel like as time goes on and we move into like an all digital future more, these companies are going to get a little more pissy about that sort of thing. And I think like Nintendo, they already go pretty hard against a lot of these sites, but I feel like over the next 10, 15, 20 years, like you're going to see a lot more aggressiveness from these companies to shut down ROM sites. So like these things that you see on Amazon and stuff, I don't think they'll be there forever. I don't. Maybe they'll be on Alibaba or something. Like, I'm not saying you won't be able to get them, but I just feel like it's gonna get harder.
The easy access is going to be gone. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
So I always tell people, like, if you do have any interest in building like a ROM set or emulation and stuff, I would probably get on it sooner rather than later, or buy one of these things now that have all this stuff on there, because it's just going to be more of a pain in the ass. It'll never go away. I'm not saying like, you won't be able to get ROMs. There'll always be Pirate Bay, and there'll always be torrent sites and backdoor places you can get them and stuff. But I just think it's going to be more of a pain in the ass. And,
you know what's a great site to get ROMs and ISOs and stuff? Internet Archive. Internet Archive has everything on it, and like people, you always hear about like CD Romance and Cool ROMs and Wow ROMs, but like Internet Archive's the fucking shit, dude. Like, you can even get like different file formats, because that's how I got some Saturn CHD files to try it out on that and see if I can make that work. And yeah, it's full sets, Dreamcast, whatever the fuck you, Xbox 360. You want Xbox 360 arcade games, that they did only the digital store, full library.
Yeah, this is lit, dude. I'm looking at the list right now.
Yeah, I've already ever used Internet Archive.
I did. I get tons of shit from there. The only problem with it is sometimes the speeds are really fast, and then sometimes they're like slow, and I don't know what decides that. It's very random, but.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, you'll download a 5 megabyte file and it'll be like an instantaneous, and then you'll download a 6 megabyte file and it'll be like 45 minutes. Like,
yeah,
what the hell's happening?
What are we doing here?
Yeah, so
takes back to like the line way that is when the download speed came to like how many people were hosting the file, not your actual like download speeds.
Fucking torrents.
There's 40 people who own this movie, so it's going to download really fast.
Well, I mean, the great savior for emulation is China, because China don't give a fuck. There's no laws about that. Where do you think all these things come from?
Correct.
China. This hard drive. China.
They're
Literally.
not doing China.
Unabashed intellectual property theft. They do not give a F.
It's always so funny, because sometimes when I review these hard drives, I'll say like, I'm going to jail, or it's illegal or something. And the company will send it to me. They'll always be like, why did you put that in the title? I'm like, because it doesn't. Well, first off, it doesn't matter. Like, you're over there, but like, people like stuff like that. It gets their attention. Like the $40 Hyperkin hard drive that supposedly is filled with viruses and shit. Motherfucker, I've been using that. I ain't get no fucking viruses. You don't think I have virus protection on my computers? Like, yeah, there's probably some weird files that you could download off of there that you probably shouldn't mess with. You plug it in. Worst case, just take the ROMs and the emulators off of the drive and drag and drop them to your computer if you're like that worried about it. Like, it's crazy. People just have this. There's still this stigma about a lot of these products that, it's got spyware and shit on it. And it's like, yeah, if you probably install every file that they tell you to install, sure. If you don't have antivirus, sure. But use your brain. Treat this like anything else. Treat this like you would treat something that you bought from a stranger. Look at it, inspect it, make sure that it does what you want it to do, and then enjoy it.
Right on. So does this, like, having access to these ROMs and ISOs, does that make it easier? Like, if you would decide to sell your collection, you still have access to these games in a way?
Oh yeah, 100%. That was one of the, because I started covering like mini PCs, and companies started sending me hard drives and handhelds, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm actually playing more games because I'm not having to because I don't have like a fancy setup for all my systems and stuff. Right. I'm playing more games.
Yep.
Now, because it's just so much easier. Like, I play it in any room of my house. Like, this is so much easier, and that's kind of what got the wheels in motion. Because I'll be honest with you, I hadn't really touched my retro collection in a very long time, and then I was just like, let me just make some extra money. Like, fuck it, why not? The getting's good, and I could have went down the road of selling individually and shit like that. But I didn't care. If I was doing it for money, that's what I would have done. But I was like, that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of trips to the post office. I would rather just sell it in bulk.
And I heard that you
100%.
sold it to none other than Phoenix Resale.
You know why I sold it to him? Here's why I sold it to him. Because surprisingly, there's a lot of broke motherfuckers in the retro games, and nobody wants to spend money. Once I started giving out figures of where I was at, I was inventorying shit. People started dropping like flies. They're like, "Oh, I can't afford that. I can't afford that." He gave me. This is what I did. I had like 3 or 4 people. Once we started getting like into the nitty gritty, I didn't even get into consoles and stuff like that. This was just pure games. This was just pure games on display as well. I tallied everything up and I told those 4 individuals, I said, this is the price charting price of it as it stands right now. Make me an offer on this. And if I like your offer, I'm throwing in all that other stuff. But if I have to go through those totes and find all my systems and find additional games, the price is going to go up. Your choice. So one person gave me an offer. I didn't really like it. The other 2 people never got back with me. And then Phoenix Resale came in with an offer that I liked. And I was like, perfect. I was like, come pick it up. He came and he was going to get a hotel. I was like, fuck it, dude. Stay at my house. You're scrawny. You ain't going to rob me or something. I'll fuck you up. And, he came and we hung out for the night. And then in the morning, we loaded up that truck and then he was on his way.
He's both got to make content out of it. I enjoyed watching both sides of the videos.
Got to make content out of it. Got to hang out, and it was good. And people are like, "Oh, you're gonna regret that," and I don't. Like, have I bought retro games since then? Yes, but every single retro game that I have on the shelf, I have a memory with growing up. And like, okay, so I bought Tokyo Extreme Racer 2 recently on the Dreamcast. Surprisingly, this game has gone the fuck up in price, by the way. Everyone for a CIB copy was like $80 on eBay. You know where I found this?
Wow.
For $60? eStarland.com. It was the cheapest place. I was like, great. I have fond memories of this game. So did I sell it? I might have. I don't know if I had it in my collection, but I wanted to buy it back. So I bought it. Like, that's everything. From PS2 down is like that. Like, I still have PS3 stuff, PS4, PS5, Xbox 360, and all that sort of stuff. Just because sometimes it can be a little bit harder to emulate or something like that. But all the other stuff, like, no. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do with a copy of Automobile Lamborghini for the N64, which is a game that I actually rented as a kid and I remember enjoying it, but I'm never going to play this again. Like, I don't care about this. This doesn't invoke any sort of memory within me. So get rid of it. Like, it's either that or let it rot on your shelf forever and you're just going to hoard it. And, like, I don't know. I like money.
Then it becomes like a weird thing. Like if no one's coming over and no one's playing the games and no one's enjoying your collection and you're not playing them and you're not enjoying it, like after a while, it's like, why do I have it? What am I doing with it?
Yeah.
And I think it's just super healthy to sell if you're a collector. Like, if you're like someone who can't sell, like, that's not healthy. Like, you have to, like, you should be able to let stuff go every once in a while. Otherwise, it's like, I'm telling you, that's just not psychologically good for you. Like, just sell stuff sometimes, make some space. Like, if you're not using it, let someone else enjoy it. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I try to do that yearly.
Over the last probably 12 to 18 months, I sold maybe 1,000 games out of my collection, but it was a lot of like the collector's editions, the boxed consoles, the big stuff. And I've recently just reset the collection up. And I found myself once a day just walking around my game rooms and just staring at the shelves. And I'm enjoying my collection, looking at it more today than I have for years. And it's a feeling that I haven't had for years, because it just used to be like, oh, the room's just overflowing now and I got space and there's empty shelves and
space.
Just
that's
loving
one of the
looking
biggest.
at the walls.
That's one of the biggest things, dude. Is space.
Do you guys feel like the value of these games is going to keep going up, or they kind of just plateau? They're going to stay where they're at because of what they're worth?
I think it depends on the system still, because I was actually very surprised at how high Genesis stuff had gotten, which I didn't necessarily expect. But I mean, eventually you're going to get to a point. Well, I don't know, because like I think back to Too Many Games that I just went to, which for some reason I bought a bunch of shit there. I know why I did, because we were hanging out with Mystic Ryan. That
Oh,
motherfucker's
yeah.
like, he's like, I'm
See, I'm
looking
buying
for-
10 Pokemon games.
Yeah,
You're
I
like,
need,
well,
I
gotta
need
buy something.
Pokemon games, and I need these cards, and oh, you know what? I really want a clean copy of Mario Kart 64 in the box, not the player's choice. He spent all his money. I'm like, bro, you're not gonna fucking show me up, like, motherfucker.
I've seen those Yu-Gi-Oh cards he bought. They look cool too.
So
He's like, I don't spend my money on crap. Meanwhile, buys a $400 pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I bought well, see, here's the weird thing about that. He had brought some individual like Pokemon cards, and he was thinking they were worth like $700 or $70 in credit or something like that. He just wanted, you know, some credit to buy some additional stuff. And the guy, he came back to the guy later on in the day, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I'll give you 600 for it," or some crazy number like that. He was like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "All right, yeah, cool." So he actually ended up with a discount on it, but I ended up with a PS1 with the screen in box.
Yes.
I bought a
Nice.
bunch of Resident Evils because I wanted to show it off on there, and I bought a copy of Gran Turismo 2 because I wanted to. I don't know. I wanted to play it in the hotel room. That was the only reason why. And somebody that was a viewer of the channel that had a booth set up, he gave me a free PS1 memory card, and I was like, "Thank you." Here's the
You forgot to buy the memory card, didn't you?
No,
Just like when we were
here's the
kids.
thing.
You got home.
Here's the thing. PS1 stuff was probably the most limited thing at Too Many Games. Whether you're talking about systems, whether you're talking about memory cards, whether you're talking about games, you can find everything else there for any system. But PS1 was very, very limited, and I don't know why. I don't know if that's a regional thing or a trend that's happening. But like, yeah, it was
that in Australia for 10 years. It's coming that way in America soon. PS1 games I don't find in the wild anymore.
I was shocked. Do you know how hard it was to find a copy of Resident Evil 2? Way harder than it should have been. I should have been fucking getting hit in the face with them. Yeah. And I had to actually like look around, like do due diligence and find it. Like it was crazy. It was, and everyone noticed it too. Because I would have people like looking for stuff for me. I'd be like, yeah, you know, see if you can find some PS1 stuff for me. And it was just like,
Philip saying that copy is hard to get. Yeah.
Yeah, like a few booths had a decent selection of PS1 stuff, but for the most part, like there just wasn't a lot. I was very surprised.
I'm so happy I knocked that system out, man, like early.
Wow. Yo, you definitely did. You did it right, man. You got all the imports and stuff back in the day. You did it right. But you know, you were the one who showed everybody what all the good games were. So you were like cutting edge on that stuff for sure, man.
Yeah, man. That's my favorite system of all time. So, you know, I had to go all out for it. You know, I'm still finding games today that I still haven't heard of for the system, which is kind of cool.
Did you ever play Racing Lagoon?
So they just English translated that game.
I know.
And dude, that game should have came out years ago, man. Like playing that game, you feel the nostalgia already, man. Like, oh my God, like this is like a time capsule. Like it's so good, man. Like a racing RPG. Like,
yeah, dude.
Oh,
weird. I started playing it recently too, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
How did you not bring this out during the fucking car renaissance of the late 90s? And then you had all these films coming into play. And then what did kids want to play? They want to play Gran Turismo 2 and Tokyo Extreme fucking Racer. Like that caught a generation. That's how I learned about cars. That's how I got into cars, was because of Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage, Fast and the Furious, Gran Turismo 2, and Tokyo Extreme Racer, because it covered all aspects. You had the normal racing aspects, you had the street racing aspects. Like it was fucking phenomenal time.
What about Initial D?
It almost looks like an Initial D type.
Yeah, Initial D was huge for me and my friends too. We were all obsessed.
Yeah.
I never did anime. I actually watched the first season of Initial D in my late 20s, and I liked it, and then I just never watched any more of it. That's actually the only anime where I've ever watched like consecutive episodes. That's a lie, because I watched the Shenmue anime too, but that's different because it's Shenmue. And
the game is mostly like just like technique and drifting, you know, so it's kind of like, it's not straight like fast racing, I would say. It's just more about that technique. So it's kind of difficult to get into that series, especially with the language barrier to the games.
Yeah, see, because all the good ones are in Japanese, and like haven't been, like, you get minimal translations and stuff. Because that's another thing I've been really getting into lately is just translation patches on like ROM hack and
Excellent. Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I got a couple of pickups later. I'm going to show you guys that are translated games. Man, that's what I've been into recently. There's so many translations that got complete during after COVID or during COVID, and now people are making physical copies of them too to play on your original hardware. So that's great. So yeah, this is a great time for a lot of these games.
I remember a phase where I was just buying as many Japanese games that were playable without knowing English, like shoot 'em ups, or this is going to sound funny, but there's a city builder game on PS3 that is very basic controls. It's just like X and circle, and it has a core mechanic like theme park where you can like go into the city and walk around. And I'm like, this is awesome. And you don't need to know Japanese to play it. It's very playable without English. And there's so many games out there that are very simple games that you already know the controls to because they're just like other games that you've played before, but you're missing out because they're only released in Japan.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get to pickups in a minute, but I just want to shift gears for a minute, because I did have a little something prepared. So, so one of the things, I know we kind of got off topic. I was going to do this about an hour ago when we were talking about wokeness and gaming and games journalism and stuff like that. But so I don't know about you guys, but I consider myself like a problem solver. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like focusing on the problem. I'm a man who likes to come up with solutions to things. You know what I mean? And I honestly think that we can heal the woke crowd and the non-woke crowd. We can bring them together. We can do it.
Them, huh?
We can do it. And I'll tell you how. I'll explain it to you. So in every video game we've ever played, you have options, right? You have options. You can do hard difficulty, easy difficulty. You can change the lighting. You can change the sound. You can have adjustments. You can have anything you want. You can change it. So what I propose is that every game you get a wokeness slider where you can adjust the level of wokeness in your games to your own tastes. So therefore, we can finally settle this debate once and for all. We can have people with the non-woke, and we can have the people with woke. And for example, I've come up with a few visual representations of how this will work. I hope you guys enjoy these. So, for example, we have Stellar Blade, brand new game. We love it. There's the character. You want this beautiful woman. You want a nice non-woke game. You want her titties out. You want her ass jiggling. You got it. You keep that slider all the way at 0. But let's say it's not woke enough for you. You know, this is oppressive, and it's supporting the patriarchal control of the supremacists of the all that shit. You turn that woke slider up, bam!
Wow.
There you go. Now you get to play as the character that you want to play at. So there you go. Now everybody's happy. You know what I'm saying? You got the woke crowd and the non-woke crowd. Just max that thing out. Now, for example, I got more. So there's a new Blade coming out. You got Blade, right? You start out, you want a nice non-woke game. There you go. You keep that slider all the way at 0. But you're saying that's not enough. I just can't have that. I don't want to be the daywalker. Will you crank that thing up? Bam! Now you're the streetwalker. You can play like this. There you go. Now you can play Blade the way you want to play. Okay? You don't have to be oppressed. Okay? Now, like, here's another one. Like, you like wrestling, right, RGT? You got the Hulk. You got the Hulk. You got a new wrestling game. You just want to play a normal game like a normal person. Then here you go. But say you're not a normal person and you need shit to be all fucking weird and woke and shit. You crank that baby up to 11. Bam!
Mr. Nanny.
There you go. Now you can play the game the way you want, and you even have your little tag team partner in there. You got that little girl there. You can get in the matches. I got a couple more. Sorry, guys. Let's say the new Call of Duty comes out. You're ready to play. You want to play a normal Call of Duty, but you're like, you know what? I'm sick of these capitalist pigs and their imperialism and their colonialism and all that stuff. I don't want to play as these awful people. You just turn that thing up to 11. Bam! There you go. You can be Antifa. You can have your shaved head. You're ready to go, guys. Now you can fight capitalists and in the big pharma and the big oil, whatever you want to do. Stop oil, whatever. You got it. Here's another one. There's another one I like. Got a new Underworld coming out. You want to play as a werewolf? Looking good. Got a nice badass werewolf, but you're saying that ain't woke enough for you? Turn that shit up to 11. Bam! There you go.
Right.
You can play as you want. You can play the way you want. You see what I'm saying? I'm just trying to solve problems here. All right, this is my last one. This is my favorite one. I hope you enjoy it. So, you got a new Contra coming out. You know what I mean?
baby.
You got a new Predator coming out. You got Arnold. You got Badass. You ready to go? Run through the jungle, kill that Predator. Like you know what I'm saying? Turn that shit up to 11. Bam! There you go.
Wow, one of the weirdest movies ever made, too.
That was a weird movie.
Be honest though, wouldn't that solve problems? Isn't this what the world needs? We just need options. And you know, I've always hear everybody. We all want to be diverse, and we all want to have different perspectives. We should all be able to get along and play the way we want, and all have what we want. See, it doesn't need to be a fight. We don't need to have fights, guys. We could just have options. Everybody gets to play, and everybody gets to have fun.
But the people don't. The companies don't want that. They want the controversy.
Of course,
they want the attention.
They want the attention.
Mario said, Joe Hill in the world, perfect material for your
That's pretty much why I did it. Yeah, that's going to be a short for sure. But I see that's a huge point, RGT. So I am firmly under the belief that the crazy shit that the games journalists say, they don't believe it. They don't believe this. They don't feel this way. They don't actually think this way. They're just writing articles purposely to piss everybody off, to get clicks, and to rage bait everybody. I literally just don't believe them at all. So when they say like Zelda is like, you know, a patriarchal sexist tale about the oppression of elves or blah, whatever the crap they write, I'm like, they don't really think this. They don't actually feel this way. They don't really believe this stuff. They're just doing this as like a last desperate attempt to make some money before they go out of business. That's honestly what I think's going on. Like, the writing's on the wall. They're all going out of business, and they're just trying to like squeeze the last blood out of the stone before they do, and they all have to find new jobs. So that's why I think 90% of these crazy articles get written, is just because that's the only way they can get any attention. It's the only way they can make any money, and I don't believe that they believe it at all. That's just my personal opinion.
Interesting.
Are you guys scared of this topic?
No.
Did you see my video today? I don't know though. I really think that some of these people, maybe it's not what they believe, but it's what they think that people want them to believe. And like I said it from earlier, like speaking for other people. You know, all these articles popped up after Ubisoft did their statement to the Japanese audience. The Japanese audience. It's right there in the statement. This is a statement to the Japanese audience. And all of these usual suspects and websites wrote articles about how it's not about that. It's about angry white bigot people and stuff like that. And I'm like, stop for a second.
Incels, bro.
Stop for a second. What did the article say? It
the
says Japanese audience, not the white woman working at a video game website who has to get her opinion out there. You know what? I'll go ahead and say it. I think white women are the most dangerous people in video games. They are a lot of them are fucking batshit crazy, dude. And it's just like, because they feel the need to talk for other people. And oh no, that's not what it is. I know what it is. And it's like, dude, are there fucking racist white grifters that are like, oh, Yasuke, let me make a racist joke? Yes, 100%. We're not talking about them right now. We're talking about the Japanese audience, as stated in the top. Like, it's
in the article they wrote in Japanese.
They have a Japanese
they had two
version.
of them. One.
Yeah, they have for English readers and Japanese readers. And it's just like, you read Kotaku's article on it. It's like all of a sudden we're talking about Donald Trump and January 6th in an article based on something for the Japanese audience. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And the problem is that a lot of games journalists just slay queen, you go. Like,
are they really journalists or are they activists? I mean, it seems like they're like activists.
When I made a video talking about how IGN of France said a bunch of terrible things about the creators of Stellar Blade, which I mean,
I remember that.
And I made a tweet. I made up a tweet and I used it in the thumbnail because the tweet essentially said what the article had said. I didn't think it was a big deal. I've seen tons of people do stuff like that. But when I put that video out, all of these journalists, they just circled around me like fucking vultures. People I had never talked to were taking shots at me. People are like, oh, fuck this guy. Because it's all just a big circle jerk group. And there are good journalists. I'm friends with some of these people. Yeah. But a lot of them do not like me. And that's fine. We don't have to like each other. But I was just so blown away at how many people were talking shit about me because nobody cared about this person in France talking all this shit about this Korean individual saying that he's never seen a real woman, this, that, and the other. Nobody cared about that. It wasn't about what I said in my video. It was about the fake tweet that summarized what the article said. And it blew my mind. So I was like, you know what? Fine. I was like, this is becoming, because people are like, oh, you bent the knee. You bent the knee. I'm like, suck my dick. I didn't bend any knee. Okay. I decided to change that thumbnail because I didn't want the message to get lost. Because now what are you going to say about it? Now what are you going to say? You the one thing that you try to weaponize, you no longer have access to because it no longer exists. So now you actually have to
address the video itself and what I said.
The video, and I mean, nobody did, and it's fine. I don't mind people disliking me, and that all because some of those people that took shots at me, I was cool with. In my mind, I'm still cool with them. Like I don't fucking care. Like you didn't like what I said. Okay, that's fine. I'm not gonna end a friendship with you because you didn't like my video. Like that's not how I was raised. People think differently about stuff. It's almost, I call it a cabal. There's a cabal because if you look now we're getting into lots of nitty gritty stuff. But if you ever look at a lot of these games journalists, they never stay at one place for very long. They're always jumping. If you look X IGN, X Kotaku, X Polygon, now I work here. And so what ends up happening is all these people intermingle with each other and they form, whether they realize it or not, I feel like they form these groups, and it's a very hive mind mentality within these groups that just, it's so clear that you could see it happening, but you can't call it out or else you're the bad guy. And it's like, bro, that's fine. Like I'm doing good over here. Like I'm not fucking worried about it.
This is why you're doing good though. And I'm just from a fan of people, someone who watches a lot of YouTube. The reason I like YouTube and the reason I like Reggie and the reason I like RGT is because you guys are authentic. You have something to give that these people could never, ever, ever offer, because you give real takes and real opinions, and it's authentic. And these people are all bought and paid for, and it's just absurd. Like, did you see the articles IGN was writing out about Concord?
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, oh, golly, guys, I really think this one's going to be a contender. It's really going to be a powerhouse among its competitors. I'm like, no, it's not. You fucking know it's not. You know it's not. There's like 300 people playing it. Shut the fuck up. Like, you are lying. Obviously, you got paid to say this. This is such horseshit, dude. Like,
they did it with that Flintlock game, too.
Oh, man.
There was tons of articles written about Flintlock. And, like, to be clear, I do understand that there are people that nitpick and try to say everything is woke, everything. It's like Star Wars. Let's take Star Wars Outlaws, for instance. I kind of garnered like an anti-woke audience after I was, getting in trouble with all these journalists. But then I made a video talking about Star Wars Outlaws, and I was like, I don't think the chick's that ugly, because a lot of you dudes are probably, you're not hanging out with chicks that look like her, like at all. And I think the game looks fun, and people are like, oh, how dare you say that? It's like, That's what I think. I'm gonna play Star Wars Outlaws. I'm interested in the game. If that game ends up being shitty, then it ends up being shitty. But I don't think it's automatically shitty because it's just a more of a plain Jane sort of woman. Like I'm not expecting like Princess Leia in the Jabba fucking costume, which was like such a small segment. I mean, if you look at Leia throughout the movie, it's not like she's showing off ass and titties throughout. It's like I don't get it. Like people, it has to be one thing or the other. It can't. There's no middle ground. There's no gray area. It's either black or white. It's this or that. And it's like, no, I live in the gray area. I look at every situation, and if something bothers me, I'll talk about it. If something doesn't bother me, I won't talk about it. Initially, I didn't understand why people were so pissed off about the Yasuke thing with Assassin's Creed. But as more and more stuff has come out, and the Japanese audience seems to be upset about it, but they're not necessarily just upset about Yasuke. They're upset that Ubisoft was misrepresenting like artwork and stuff like that. They had like Chinese stuff in a game that's supposed to be taking place in Japan. They had messed with some of the different things and stuff like that. You start to understand it a little bit more. So, it's worth talking about, but I don't know, man. People, this is people's personalities. This is their entire life is just defending or condemning games, and it's like it's kind of miserable, bro. Like
these same people are gonna have an absolute field day when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out next year, and it's just like the most offensive thing that they've ever seen, and they have to talk about it.
Oh God, I hope so. I hope that game is like off the charts offensive. I really do. I think that's what the world needs.
Well, Rockstar has never been like any company to hold back. So we're probably going to see some crazy stuff in that game.
I honestly think that we need like some purposely offensive counterculture stuff to come out at this point. Like actually really offensive games. Really offensive. Not like that could be construed. I mean, on purpose. Like for real. Like I think that's what we need. And I think it needs to be the number one selling game of the year so that it just wakes these people up and real like they do not get to control. So, all right, my biggest pet peeves in the world is when someone tells me I'm not allowed to like something because they don't, or I'm not allowed to like someone because they don't. That's so fucking annoying. Where like I'll be friends with two people and they start fighting, and now all of a sudden I have to like pick between them or some shit because they can't get along, that type. I do not put up with that shit. And it's the same thing with like movies and games and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said, like if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But if I want to, I don't give a shit if you don't like that. And if that upsets you and you don't like me or you don't want to talk to me because of that, then you're weak. You are a weak person. That's the best way I can describe it. You are weak because like I do not give a rat's ass if people like what I like. I really don't. Like I said, I grew up listening to shitty death metal that nobody liked. No one. When I went to school, nobody liked it except me and like two kids. And I was totally fine with that and like never cared. And I was never mad that people don't like it because they're like, why is this guy screaming? I'm like, yeah, it's kind of annoying. I can see why you don't like it. Fine. I do. You know what I mean? So it's just like, why do people like, I don't know. They get upset if you like something they don't. And or if you were like, I don't know. It's just people are weak, man. They can't handle like any type of criticism at all, even if it's not directed at them.
No. And if everything has to have an ist or an ism or something attached to it to the point of where it devalues the word and it devalues the initial sexist, racist.
Just name calling.
Yeah, it devalues the word to the point of where when something actually is racist or something actually is sexist, nobody fucking cares because that word has lost all meaning because you use it to describe the most simple and mundane things that are not, but you, for whatever reason, perceive them to be, and everyone who doesn't perceive it to be that way is automatically an enemy. It's like, okay.
Are we in a war? What are we fighting about, everybody?
It's just tiring sometimes.
Cleavage?
Like
Cleavage in video games? We're fighting about?
That's like on Twitter, dude. Like I will say some outlandish shit, and that's it. I'm not sitting there reading every fucking reply and so like drive myself nuts. You know, this is my opinion on it. If you disagree with it, okay.
I like when people disagree with it. I'm weird, dude. I like confrontation, and I feel like just most people don't.
Yes.
and they'll do anything to avoid it. And they get upset if you say something that goes against the grain because they feel like you're going to cause a problem, so they try to shut you down. And like that's how it works. It's like just so many people, they're so desperate to avoid confrontation at all costs that even if you stand up for yourself, they're like, don't do that, you're gonna go, I don't want to have to deal with this. It's like that type of thing. It's like you can't speak out at all. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah.
Anyway, you guys want to do some pickups now that we've had the big deep conversation about this shit? You want to show up some video games?
Yeah,
Why
let's
not?
do it.
All right, who would like to start us off? Me. I'll start off. Let's go.
I like to just click the button and it randomly picks someone.
That works for me. I'll go for it. So I don't have too much, but I got some good stuff. So I got wrong camera. Wrath, Aeon of Ruin. You're gonna see a theme here. Like I don't know what it is lately, but like all I've wanted to play is boomer shooters. I played like that game Cultic. I've been playing through Quake 2. I've been playing Quake 1 on my Ambernick. I don't know what it is. I'm just having a blast. And this is like a new boomer shooter 3D realms type game. And it's pretty badass. I played it. It's fucking hard though. It's got a weird save system where like you can't just save anywhere you want. You have to like pick up items and then you could save, and then you don't have another save until you get another item that lets you save.
Like save crystals from Tomb Raider. Okay.
Yeah, it's different. So it adds that extra mechanic where you constantly have to be like, should I save now, or do you think I should try to make it a little farther and then save because I might not get another save for a while? So it's pretty interesting. I haven't gotten too far in it, but it was fun. So, I also picked up Zero Tolerance Collection.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's this is like a Genesis FPS game basically.
Yep.
As far as I know. I've never played these, and this was kind of low on my list because I don't know. I can emulate Genesis stuff.
One of them was unreleased, so that collection is kind of special.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. Yeah, it's got 3 games, but yeah, this is on sale on Amazon for like $19.99 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Which this is a strictly limited game, and I guarantee it wasn't $19.99 when they released it. I also picked up Ziggurat 2. You play Ziggurat 1. It's like a roguelike FPS game. And this is the sequel. I have no idea if it's any good, but I like Ziggurat 1, so there it is. I think Jason
the first one.
talked
I'll
about Ziggurat.
pick that up at some point.
I got another FPS. Surprise.
Nice.
This is Dusk. Again, it's a boomer shooter. I mean, it is what it is. Look it up. It's pretty badass. This is a cool one, though. This is hard copy games. This is their last release.
Wow,
And,
they're out of business, huh?
This is it. It's the last game they're coming out with. And it has 2 covers. There's an alternative cover for this as well. And I think I'm going to pick it up too, just to have both, because I do love this game and it's not that expensive. And why not have both covers? I also picked up Mixture to the PSVR 2. So basically, once they announced that, they're pretty much fucking giving up on the PSVR 2 and they're not going to support it anymore, I was like a little desperate to get the games because they're not going to be printing more than one round of these. You just know this is it. Like what's out there is out there. They're not making more. So I'm just trying to get like all the PSVR 2 games that I can get now, just because I think the full set's going to be small. I only think it's going to be like 40 games tops. So it's like actually attainable. So I think I might go for it. So that is Mixture. And if you're wondering what it is, it's like a fantasy action.
Is the VR2 really done?
They said that they're not producing any more units until they sell through their back stock.
Okay, so not.
And
so it's done. So they're like,
put that shares at home.
Look at RGT's picture.
It's gone.
I got some movies. So I picked up the Nightmare on Elm Street Blu-ray collection.
Oh, nice.
All 7 films.
What is your favorite one out of those originals? What's your favorite one out of the original movies?
Gosh. I really like 2, which not a lot of people like 2, but I like 2.
That was the first one I saw.
I thought 2 is like one of the actual scariest.
Being on that bus driving out in that field, that's terrifying.
Believe it or not, I have a soft spot for 5. even though it's not the greatest movie. But what happened was when I was a little kid, my dad took us to the movies, and he took us to see some like the Care Bears or some shit like that. I don't remember what it was. It was some stupid movie. And he was like so bored. He was like, screw this. He took us to the other movie. We went to see Freddy 5 instead.
Wow.
I was like so young, dude. And I remember watching Freddy 5 in the theater with my dad. And like the whole time, I'm like, I should just not be watching this at all. And I just thought it was so cool because I got to see it. So when I was a kid, I loved horror movies. And I was like, all right, so it's kind of hard. I have an older brother. He's like 5 years older than me. And like him and his friends used to always watch horror movies all the time. And I was always like, I can hang with the boys. I can hang. Let me watch them. And he'd be like, I don't know, man. And I was always like trying to watch them when I was little. And I scared the shit out of myself. So I was always excited when I got to see horror movies when I wasn't supposed to when I was a kid. So I don't know.
It's like seeing boobies when you're 12 years old. Seeing something you know you shouldn't be seeing, but it's really awesome.
Correct. I can still remember the last time I saw a boobie in a movie too. I'll tell you that right now. You know what movie it was? The Last Emperor. It's this movie about like, wait, no, is it that movie? I don't know. It's about this Chinese emperor, and he was like 10, like I don't know, a kid or something. And I don't want to get into it. Never mind. This is a weird story. Let's talk about pickups. I got Superman. You guys like Superman? I like Superman. I got the 4K release. Got all the Supermans in it. The originals. The good
Part
ones.
4, though. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not all that great.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, oh, God, it was bad.
But yeah, I love these movies, and I'm really actually interested in watching them in 4K. I bet they look sick, so pretty happy about that.
Right on.
And then I picked up Conan the Destroyer to go with my Conan the Barbarian. So now I have those two movies. I just need to get Red Sonja.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that should came with Red Sonja too?
I wish it did, but it didn't. And so I bought the individual releases. They do have like a double pack that just came out. You can get. I think the only place that has it right now is Target. So if you guys do want it, it's like available on Target. It's like $50. Yeah, Conan, good shit. And then the big one is it right there. Fucking, I don't spend money on games like this very often, but I did get.
Ooh, baby.
Nice.
That's a huge bitch.
It is massive.
It's such an awesome release, that one.
I can't even get it on the camera. So yeah, I got the Baldur's Gate Collector's Edition. I heard, I mean, this company, the way they did like everything for this game, I think they literally are like the top of the tier as far as game companies go. Like this game was fully functional when it released, wasn't riddled with a bunch of microtransactions. They waited until all the DLC was released, and then they finally released like a complete physical edition with everything on it. And it's amazing and it's beautiful. And they said that anybody who wants one can order one, and they're just going to keep making them until nobody wants them anymore. And I can't think of anything better that they could have done. What else other than like giving me a free statue with my purchase? Like, I don't know what else they could have done.
The only thing I would add was to have a standard release that was a bit cheaper, because it's like $100 to buy that version, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and to be honest, this thing is fucking huge. Like I'm kind of anti collector's edition usually, because of like, what the hell, dude? This thing, what am I gonna do with this?
I'm buying it because that's the only way to get the game. But if they did just a standard version, I'd buy the standard version, you know.
Well, what's funny is now that I have it, I don't want to open it, and I'll probably just get it digitally. That's the truth. I waited all this time for this physical to finally come out, and I finally got it. Now I'm like, nah, it's too cool. I gotta leave it like that. I'm done. I'm all done. That's all I got.
Well, I got some stuff to show off. But firstly, I wanted to talk about a game that I'm playing right now. It's not the one I'm bringing up on the screen. But I'm playing Lies of P, and I've been playing it for probably like 20 hours now. I'm close to the end. I beat this boss last night, and after I beat the boss, the game changed. It like hard locked me out of all there's like teleporters between all like the bonfires, like Dark Souls. Anyway, it got me to a point where I couldn't leave this little stage, and I had to beat this boss. You can't go back to the main stage. You can't upgrade your weapons. You can't buy any like different attachments. I'm stuck with my layout. 30 attempts later, I beat this boss like 12 o'clock at night, threw my controller down, stood up, and just started screaming. I'm like, oh shit, it's 12 o'clock. Hopefully the neighbors don't see. But yeah, it was cool to have like one of those moments again. Liza P is absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
First pick up on courtesy of Joe Rad. I've been after this for a very long time, and that is Proteus.
Oh,
And
nice.
I wanted to get the PS4 copy, not the PS5 copy. And I got a little trailer here that I'll pull up.
That company, I think they're going under. The Humble.
Humble Games just laid. You have to share your screen like this, Figsy, otherwise it screws up. Yeah, Humble Games just laid off like their whole staff.
Do you know who owns Humble Games?
IGN, right?
Ah, it's almost like the conglomerate.
Are you
of
serious?
buying up-
Wow.
Yeah, they bought them recently. They did a huge transaction where they bought a bunch of websites and companies.
Mhm. And now they're putting them all out of business. Just like the Embracer Group did to all those developers too. They bought them all and then they put them all out of business.
It's just buying your competition out, you know. It's like what Amazon do.
So yeah, it's a boomer shooter. Big surprise. That was my
It
recommendation.
looks like Doom, basically. It looks like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of
Played
fun.
that. I'm pretty sure I played some of that.
It's a decent game. It's got like a million different difficulty options, so you can kind of play it the way you want. It's definitely a good one.
Moving on to the next game, and I also got a little trailer here to show you guys, and that is 13 Centigles Aegis Rim. This is a Atlas title, and it's Vanillaware. It's an amazing game, and if you're in Australia, it just got recently not reprinted. I feel like Big W found old stock from 2022, and they listed it at $24, so you can get a sealed copy for $24. And like it was previously $100, so I highly recommend grabbing it.
Surviving is to fight back with the Sentinels. Now let's go.
It's a weird game. It's like a
I got my
RTS
platinum in that game.
and a
I went all out.
Nice.
visual novel or something like that.
It's got a really good story. Like it's a good one.
I'll fight. And
Apparently the
everyone.
American PS4 copy is really cheap, like a $10 game.
That area
I believe so. Yeah, it didn't really sell well.
Cheap. There's a slipcover version that's a little more expensive. Probably not much though.
Let's do this together. That was awesome.
And moving on to the final pickup, and this one's exciting. I got a notification that I had mail this morning, so I went to the post office at like 8 o'clock to pick this up for the podcast. So as you guys know, I'm collecting all the Pokemon games, all the Australian Pokemon games, and that includes all the Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance ones boxed. And in particular, I'm going for condition. And if I can find like a really, really nice copy, I'm happy to pay more for it. And then that moves us to this one, which is Pokemon Ruby. So this is a very, very nice copy of Pokemon Ruby. And it's popped up on eBay as an auction. There was probably 15 copies on eBay ranging from $300 to $500 at the moment. And none of them were in the condition that this one was in. So I'm like, I'm going to win this auction. I ended up winning it for $403. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's like in the middle range of what it goes for, but it's like a 10 out of 10 box. It's absolutely perfect. So I'm very, very happy with it. I put it in a box protector as soon as I got it. It's going on the shelf, and I'm actually going to get another like glass cabinet for my Pokemon games and display them in a glass cabinet. So I'm pretty excited. So now I'm like, oh, I need Sapphire. So it's got its twin to live next to.
Fucking Pokemon, man.
Pokemon.
I'm so glad that I was a little too old for that, and I don't have to spend $500 on that shit.
Thankfully, there's only a few more. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel now.
Nice.
I'll try to go through these pretty fast. First one here is Death Smiles 1 and 2 from Strictly Limited.
Nice.
They had it on sale on Amazon, so I picked it up. I think it was like 40. So I can't remember. It was cheap.
For the
So I went
collector's
and picked that
edition,
up.
that's a good deal, yeah.
Yeah, it comes with a lot of stuff in there, so definitely cool to have. Also, I got Bramble recently, which is like one of those games, kind of like Little Nightmares, but this one takes place in this forest, and it's so weird and creepy. Like they got some weird monsters in this game. It tripped me out. Then I bought this again because I sold it originally because I was playing on my friend's Media Glitch, but this game is only 3 players. I was hoping it's going to be 4 players, and I sat that game out. So decided to pick it up again. Aliens Fire Team Elite. This is
I'll
actually
play
a
that
really
with
good
you
game.
if you want. I have that game.
Yeah, definitely, man. This is a fun game, man. I was like, dude, like, I'm happy I
I'm
finally
down.
started playing it recently. Then this game, oh my god, this game pulled me in like crazy. As Dusk Falls,
Yeah, dude, I want to get that.
dude.
Is that FMV or is it just like animated or?
It's like stills, but they're like animated stills. Like they just like
Okay.
not like moving, but just like different positions and stuff like that. It's really good how they do it. The voice acting is great. I got the best ending, thankfully, my first time playing it, so I don't have to really replay it unless I want to like unlock the extra ones and stuff. But
I
definitely
like
a good
Serenity
game.
Forge a lot. They put out a lot of cool stuff, man.
They are. And I just got this today, thankfully. Woot had a sale on these next 2 games. I got RoboCop for 30. I've been wanting to play this from the makers.
It's good.
From the makers of Rambo the Game too. So it's kind of
That game's fucking awesome.
really. I can't wait, man.
Especially if you have any nostalgia for the movies, like it fucking kicks ass.
Yes, definitely. Heck yeah, man. All right, play that tonight. Then this one was $10. For
Dude, this movie traumatized the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Oh,
That did not traumatize you?
Hold on, I
Well,
gotta grab something. I just remembered I have another pickup.
Oh,
Definitely that scene where the dude kind of mutated. Well, no,
Yeah,
the traumatizing scene was the scene with Murphy. Obviously, you've seen the uncut version. It's like, dude,
yeah, when they blow him away, like it is.
and he's still alive, and he's like, this man. That scene was insane, dude. Like, that scene probably stuck with me the most out of that movie, man, because it's so horrific. Like, it's like,
yeah, and then the guy melting in the thing. That's,
help me.
Oh, it did. And I honestly, I remember the scene where the robot, what's it, the Ed 309 or whatever, when it freaks out and shoots the dude in the office. That gave me mad PTSD when I was a little kid. I was like, man,
I mean, he got lit up, dude. It was like,
well, it was just a scary idea of like the robots malfunctioning, and it just fucking blows you away. Like, I don't know, that just like, I don't know.
And going out like that, man, like, how did he die? Well, this is what happened. Like,
whoops,
messed up. But next game, Fort Solis, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know much about this game. It's supposed to be like a horror game, and it's got the voice actors from Red Dead Redemption, the guy that played Arthur in it, and somebody else I can't remember, but probably just a good cinematic experience. And then when it comes to like translations, man, this is the fun. This is where we get to the fun stuff. Mizuna Falls, I think that's how I pronounce it. For the PS1.
Oh, dude, I've been playing that recently. It's confusing, but it's awesome.
It is.
It's like Deadly Premonition before Deadly Premonition.
Exactly.
Ooh, yeah,
man.
nice.
100%, dude. And the game is a trip because you don't really, you have a certain amount of days before you know that you have to complete the game in. If you don't figure things out, man, it's a trip what happens. So got this from Project Retro Games. Definitely a game that should have came out years ago. The only reason it didn't come out years ago is because the company Human, I think they folded because of bad sales and everything like that. So they end up not putting this out, but somebody English translated it, and it's awesome. Then we have a Castlevania collection here, which is like I don't want to open all of this up right now, but it comes with the soundtrack.
I've seen this.
It's a Japanese version in English because people prefer the Japanese voices, I believe. Soundtrack, all kind of extras and stuff like that. So definitely the way we should have got this game years ago. This one I'm not going to say too much about, so I briefly talk about it on my channel, but the Smurfs collection. My buddy Carlos, he says this is a great collection of games, man, so I got to play them. The first one came out on Sega CD. The second one came out on Genesis. I've never really been a big Smurf guy, even when I was a kid, so but maybe it'll impress me. I think it kind of reminds me of like the Adventures of Flink on Sega CD, so if it plays like that, then I'll probably like it.
I was more of a Snorks guy.
They did?
Yeah, there's a new Smurfs game that just came out for modern platforms recently.
Oh, I've seen that on PS5, yeah.
Oh, there's so many. I feel like there's a Smurf game that comes out like every 6 months now.
They're bringing them back. And this game I forgot how to pronounce, so I'll just call it AK. This is a twin stick shooter where you just kind of like just.
Yeah, it looks
yeah, it's a fun one. It just if you play Enter the Gungeon, it's kind of like that, so you know what you're getting into. So yeah, this is pretty cool. And that's it for me. I'll try to go through it fast.
That's good stuff, man.
Nice.
I only have two things that I bought recently that haven't shown off. First is this, of course,
Hey.
Nintendo World
That's
Championships
okay.
NES edition. Much like you with Baldur's Gate, I also bought the game digitally. So this will be staying a sealed boy. Although I kind of do want to look at the gold cartridge, but I really like this game. I actually liked it more than I thought I would, and like the online stuff is actually strangely addictive. Like I'm not the best person at the world of video games, but like having the silver and the gold championships and being able to win those, like I was happy with that. And then it rotates out and there's different tournaments that are always happening. It's more so like if you play it as a single player game, you're just doing like the 150 plus challenges and then you're done. Unless you're trying to get like S times on it or whatever. But the online stuff makes it really fun. And you mentioning that you bought something off of Woot, I remember that I bought something off of Woot with Air Twister.
Nice. $12.
Yeah, $12. And I was like, yes, I will buy it. I didn't play it,
best.
but I feel like you know, with Yu Suzuki, I'll probably like it somewhat. So yeah, I ended up picking this up, and I'll probably play it some this weekend to check it out. Digitally, I've been playing the new Ninja Turtles, Splintered Fate. It's a roguelike, which I don't like.
Yeah, I seen that one.
But it's turtles, and I ended up loving it because I think it was because it was like what they did with it was like there's story elements that happen when you progress to certain points within the roguelike. So it always feels like good. Like it's like, oh, okay, well, I died, but now I got this extra story element. And they're constantly like throwing different like upgrades and stuff at you that you can access with like in-game currency. Like a lot of people have pretty much said it's almost like a Hades reskin of Ninja Turtles, but that's why they like it. So yeah, I've actually really been enjoying that, and it's a Switch exclusive, timed exclusive, but it's really fun. Like I like the art style. It has local co-op and online play as well, so it's a good game for $30. Like can't beat it.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a sucker for anything Ninja Turtles, to be honest with you. So if
They're
you throw a
they're
Ninja Turtle skin.
there's
I'm
another
probably gonna check it out.
Turtles game coming out this year too.
Yeah, it's like Mayhem something, maybe.
Yeah, and there's
It's
already
spoiled
And
last
there's one that
couple of
just
years.
came out like a little while ago too.
Wrath of the I think Wrath of the Mutants or something like that. It's like the arcade game that wasn't released. Finally got a release home console.
Yeah, that was the first one. It's okay. You know,
Yeah.
I reviewed it. It's all right. Like, you know, I don't really have an urge to go back and play it. But
Right.
the other one that's coming out this year does look pretty good too. I wish they would start doing. I mean, it's bizarre to me. I mean, I know Disney's fucking dumb, but like, how did you not make an X-Men '97 beat 'em up game?
Seriously.
Like, what is
Well-
your malfunction?
Well, maybe they are because we saw a little bit how it would look in that episode, that fourth episode of the new season. So maybe they got something cooking up. I mean, that looked pretty good. So
I will say, the Toxic Crusaders beat 'em up that's coming out this year.
Yeah, that looks cool.
It's a lot better than I thought it was. I played it at too many games, and it was a hell of a lot better. Just like the amount of like interactable things within the levels and stuff was very, very impressive. I only played like probably a level and a half, but I really liked it. And they told me it was an old build, that they actually have a newer build, and it's like so much better. But I was like, dude, this is fucking gold right here. Like if it gets better than this, like I think that game's gonna be really fun. Because like that was going back to RoboCop. You know, I watched the RoboCop cartoon before the movies. I watched Toxic Crusaders before Toxic Avengers. Like, you know, back in the day, they made fucking kids shows for everything, and then you'd go and check out the movies and be like, oh, whoa, this is fun.
Yeah.
But
That's
like,
what I'm
Fucking
saying.
had the
Like
movies insane, dude.
RoboCop, I thought RoboCop was gonna be like a fun little movie.
but like
No.
that's what made it cool to me, you know. And like, so like when I saw Toxic Crusaders, I was like, fuck yeah, I remember that theme song and everything. Like that show was awesome.
you guys know they got a Karate Kid game coming out that's kind of like with the same build as Toxic Crusaders and the old school Ninja Turtles. Well, the one that came out, Shredder's Revenge, looks pretty good.
Do you know what
Yep.
game looks really good? I'm super excited out. I've been watching this forever. Is Iron Meat? Have you seen this game?
Yeah, that's the one you sent me today, right? The
Yeah,
picture
dude.
of-
This game looks fucking sick. If it's like a run and gun Contra type game with
I'm
like
pretty-
just disgusting artwork, and I've been watching it for like years and years, just waiting, and it finally got announced that it's coming out September 26th on Steam, Switch, PS4, 5, Xbox, blah blah blah. But the reason I want to mention it specifically is the physical release is coming out from Real Strictly Limited Games, and that at first pissed me off. Because did I not share this? They haven't shipped me any games in like 2.5 years. So I was a little pissed off when I heard that. But I did want to just say that they recently sent out an email and supposedly they're back in action. They've restructured the company. They fired all the idiots and I don't know what they did, but they're back on track and they're manufacturing games. And I'm supposed to finally get my Ray Z chronology game in August, supposedly. You know, that game that's been like, put in the clearance bin. It's been out so long.
It's funny
everywhere
that
else.
it's funny that you mentioned Iron Meat because I just got the Steam review key today from it because I know the people. I know the
nice.
Retroware is the same company that's doing Toxic Crusaders, and
Oh, cool.
I know all those guys. So yeah, they
Well,
send me stuff all the time.
That game looks really good. I'm excited for it. Tell them that they've already sold one copy. I'll tell you that. I'm definitely getting it. I'll probably buy it on Steam day one and then order it from Strictly Limited and wait 45 years to get my copy.
Have you seen the weird Castlevania knockoff that they're doing?
No.
Maybe.
Maybe. Hold on, let me look it up. I don't remember.
You know how it is. I see
Oh.
games get announced in 3 years.
Maybe
later,
I have seen
they
it, but
come
I just
out.
don't remember.
Exactly.
Look up. It's called the Transylvania Adventure of Simon Quest.
Yep, I seen that one.
Dude, that shit is fucking heat.
Yeah.
It's not coming out till next year, but that's another game that they're doing. That was one of the bigger, because they're all those fucking guys that work there with Retroware are big Trauma fans. So like they put all the publicity on like Toxie, and I get why. But like this game was like, holy shit, this is really fucking good. Like this is
That looks cool.
Yeah, that's that game. I can't wait to play that shit.
While we're on the topic of low print companies, did you guys hear the statement from Red Art Games this week? And they got hacked.
Yeah, dude, it
Oh,
was
yeah,
kind
I
of
saw
crazy because I just did a video for them and like telling everybody about the sale they're having. Now their site is shut down. So it's like, dude, wow. They don't know when they're going to be back up.
So if you have bought anything from them, I'd be changing your password you use if you didn't use PayPal, etc. Because all their information is being leaked, you know.
Yeah, so they put out a statement saying that credit card information, addresses, names, all that stuff is compromised. So if you have your payment information saved, you might want to go and change your payment information. So I always use PayPal. So this is one of those times where being a lazy fuck really is paid off because I'm like, I'm not getting up and going to get my debit card. Hell no. Anytime I can use PayPal, I don't have to move. PayPal it is. I'm not going to find my card. Hey, thanks for the.
Well, I bought all my Red Art games on Video Games Plus because they also sell
Thanks,
them,
Simon.
you know.
Well, gentlemen, I think we've reached that time. We're all turning into pumpkins. So we'll just do the rounds. Figsy, where can everybody find you?
I'm on YouTube, over on Twitter, I'm on Twitch, Discord, Instagram, everywhere that social media is. I'm on Figsy Games. You can find me.
Radical One, where can we find you?
Yeah, YouTube. Make videos here and there. And you can even find some cool stuff on Instagram. Follow me there too. Same name.
Yeah. RGT. Everybody here already follows you. But where can we find you?
Find me in the trash can somewhere. No, find me on RGT85 on all social medias. On the YouTubes, I have the main channel, a secondary channel that was supposed to be going in full force the first week of July, and then I got sick as a dog, and that kind of fell apart. But there's some content on there. It's kind of stuff that I wouldn't put on the main channel, just more so unscripted, and not that I script anything, but just more like not edited, just ranting about something for a while. And I do live streams over there. Probably will live stream tomorrow because I haven't streamed this week. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Had a good time.
Very cool. And
Right on,
what the Game and Talk podcast? That's its own channel too. What day of the week do you guys do that?
Yeah, Game and Talk is every other Wednesday. And the Wednesday that we aren't live, we have an episode of Battle of the Sexes, which is the two men of the show, myself and Nate, versus the two women of the show, Josie and Celia. And usually, because Celia is very cheap and doesn't like to buy games, we're pretty much just playing N64 shit, and we just fuck them up. Like we just fuck them up. It's so like they get so mad. I'm like, shut up, bitch. And I'm like, I'm not calling you a bitch. I'm just saying bitch in general. Yeah, it's good. It's good times.
Awesome. Well, guys, make sure you. Oh, well, I guess I might plug myself too. I'm Joe Rad 18 on X, Joe Rad Official on YouTube. I really don't do much other than this podcast, and then I stream games. That's about it. So if you guys want to follow, check it out. It was a really awesome show. RGT, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. That was an awesome time.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It was a blast.
Reggie, as always, a pleasure. Thank you very much. Figsy, yeah, you're all right. I'm just kidding. I love you, Figsy. Thanks for coming on, man. Everybody who watched in the chat, I appreciate you guys. That was awesome. The chat was hopping tonight. I loved it. People who donated to some super chats, thank you very much. Appreciate that as well. And yeah, hope you guys tune in again. Next week, we have Vidal Super Ninja coming on Thursday. And I think we have an episode with Level 857 coming up on a Sunday. And then we have Firm from the Collective Gaming coming up the following week. And then after that, we do have Mystic Ryan booked in for the following week. So he should be coming on in a couple weeks as well, guys. So that should be a good one as well. But that's it.
You mean I actually get to talk about Pokemon with someone?
Yes, it's pretty much going to be Figsy, and you got him talking about PS3 and Pokemon the whole time, and me just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, being like, "Ah, for God's sakes, fucking got to catch them all, motherfuckers." Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Take it easy,
Have a
guys.
good night, everyone.
You found the